Welcome back, and welcome to the latest and next and greatest episode of the Don't Start Yo Shit podcast. I'm your host that do the most. I am King Himothy. I am Him Possible. I am the notorious HIM. I am the Him Reaper. I am that boy. I am the content. We are here for episode 19. We are almost to the Big Double X episode, which I'm hoping to bring you a very big one for that one with the guest that you love the most. Save the surprise for later. Um, Episode 19. What do you want to talk about? I'll tell you what I want to talk about. The definition of entanglement is when you tangle in the sheets. Yes, we're going to talk about entanglement. I'm going to tell you about an entanglement that I had in my life. Now, this generation popularized the term entanglement. But what an entanglement is, people already been doing that for a long time. And I didn't realize I was kind of doing it myself back in the day. There wasn't this specific word to it, but apparently I was doing it. An entanglement is kind of like, have you ever just been with somebody, but that's not your somebody, but there's somebody think you they somebody? That's an entanglement, or that's as a version of an entanglement. And that's something that I was partaking in that I didn't know. So let me tell y'all about an entanglement that I had. Now we're talking, we're talking like a decade ago. We're talking a long time ago. So there was this situation that I was in with a former coworker of mine from my very first job that I had. See, we met as teenagers. That was my first job. I believe that was her first job. So we met young. She's like a year. She's a year older than me. But we were, and I think we worked together for 5 years. But throughout those, I want to say throughout the first 3 years of us working together, we had kind of like this intense sexual tension. We didn't do anything, but we'd be at work, we flirt with each other, we might grab on each other, touch on each other inappropriate. We will make some nasty, inappropriate jokes or whatever, but we would never do anything or whatever. But it's like it was a build up, and this was like a 3 year build up, maybe even 4. We might not even did nothing to year 4. I'm gonna say 4. I think it was 4. So this is 4 years of us going back and forth, just teasing something that may happen. So during that time period, I had just got on my. I'm not gonna say just got on my own, but I was out of my parents' house. I was going through some dark times, and she was there for me as a friend. She was there for me. She helped me get through a period of time in my life that was pretty tough for me. But during that time of darkness, we finally got to the point, and it was much needed on my part. We finally got to the point where we were going to test this tension that we've been having with each other all this time of working together and never doing anything. So we link up, and it's just the timing was just right. The moment was just right. The move was just right. We have been talking a lot of back and forth throughout the years. As teenagers, we at the end of the teens, we young adults now in the real world. I mean, it's time, you know what I'm saying? It was just time. So we went ahead and we we knocked one out the park. You know what I'm saying? We did the deed. We did the deed, and it was cool. It was cool because it was good, but I was still inexperienced at this time. I still hadn't had a lot of experience. I had some, but I still wasn't really experienced. So when I say the first time we did it, it's like it was some normal stuff, some regular basic stuff. I mean, because I'm still learning how to be that boy. You know what I'm saying? So first time it was cool, and it was like, huh. So this is something. This is what that was. And we all that shit we had been talking, all them jokes and all this tension that we had led to this moment. And we did it. And it was just like, okay, cool. Where do we go from there? So, like I said, bad time in my life going through some stuff. I wanted her around as much as I could possibly have her because she was somebody I could lean on, not just for that, the physical part of it, but she was actually somebody that was a good friend to talk to. But we started to we started to link up and hang out more. But this is very important. I want you to understand this about entanglements. We kept the conversation, even though she was helping me do some stuff. We kept the conversation that we were having outside of that pretty cordial. There was no talks of like a long term future or any romantic feelings, anything like that. Like it was strictly, we knew what we were here to do. We knew what the goal was, what the mission was, and that's what it was. So, we'd be hanging out, and then it's like, you know, is we what LLE Chavo say? Is we fucking or what? You know what I'm saying? So we just kept doing it more and more. We kept doing it more and more, and then we kept we kept. The more you do it with somebody, the more you get in tune with who they are and what they like in the bedroom. And we were getting familiar with each other's bodies and likes and our habits, and it was cool. But that's what it was like. It was just physical. Um, and she, but after a certain amount of time, I'm not a plumber, but I'm certified in laying pipe. Um, at a certain point in time, I started to notice a shift change. Um, and this is where I'm gonna take accountability for not being communicative. When you're dealing with somebody in a physical manner, um, it's best to establish what your intentions are from the very beginning. But even if you don't, when you get into the thick of things and you start to see that shift change, it's important that you have that conversation about what your intentions are, how far do you see this going, and it's an important conversation to have. But me being young, dumb, inexperienced, and just going through what I was going through, I didn't communicate with her the way I should have. She didn't get a proper, clear um, vision from me as far as what I thought we were going to be, long term. So while me, I'm just in the heat of the moment. In the heat of the moment, I'm enjoying the company. I'm enjoying the physical. I'm enjoying just the time. But that's it. I'm just in the moment for what it was. And I've started to notice that our surface level conversations would then she would kind of want to have more deeper, intimate, serious conversations. She started doing different things like texting me throughout different hours of the night. She texts me certain things that she wouldn't normally text me. Kind of doing like mm, real girlfriendish type things. She was kind of starting to show signs of maybe catching feelings, and I noticed it, but I didn't communicate to her that that's not what I wanted, and I take accountability for that. There's no excuse for doing that, but that's what it was. And when she started to have that shift change, from the physical to more an emotional connection, I started to I started to shut down. Um, I started to, I wouldn't say become distant, but I will become I would just be like I would be a vague conversation. Like I wouldn't be. She would want to have a deep conversation. I wouldn't want to. Um, she'd want to start going out and doing things in public, and I. It's not that I wouldn't have. I just wasn't in the space to be doing all of that because it kind of looks very relationshipy, and that's So she would kind of start to approach me with a more aggressive, not in a bad way or a mean way, but a more aggressive energy, like she wanted something more than what we were doing. Um, and I wasn't feeling her like that. Like I said, we had a lot of years of sexual buildup and tension between us, and we fulfilled that as best as we could. But and this is, but I also want to say that this was very important for me to go through this at this time in my life because it allowed me to know that I'm a lover boy. As far as if I'm really feeling you, I realize the things that I'm willing to do to make you happy. Um, I also realize that casual sex is, I can do it, but it's not something that I prefer. I prefer to have sex with somebody that I really, really care about and will want to be with. See, with me, I learned over the years that when it comes to being intimate in a sexual manner, I prefer to have sex with somebody that I can see myself having a long term future with. If I've hooked up with you, then I've at some point thought to myself that I could be with you long term. Um, this situation between me and her was just supposed to be a casual thing, which made me realize I'm not really into a casual thing. I want what's mine. Like for me to really get into the act of intimacy, I would like to know that it's mine. As a man, naturally, you want what's yours. But even if we are intimate and we're not in a committed relationship, I want to know that that's something that maybe we could be working towards. Because if I'm being intimate with you, I see a future with you. I can see you being my wife. I can see myself having a family with you because I believe in soul ties. I'm a spiritual person. And me giving myself to somebody, I'm giving myself to them. I'm giving them a piece of me. If I'm going to give you a piece of me, I want to know that I can have a piece of you. And maybe we can create a piece of us together. So, and I needed to go through this with her to realize as a man, that's what I wanted. I wanted my person. I wanted somebody that I was into really deeply if I'm going to be doing that. But she started to, like I said, show those more serious feelings for me, and I was starting to check out. Even when we were hooking up, it was just kind of like I wasn't even no longer into it, so it was just kind of like I stopped growing, I stopped progressing as far as trying new things with her, or even just as far as getting into the mood. I couldn't even get into the mood because I know if we start doing that, then it's going to enhance her essence, her energy for me. And I kind of wanted to put a halt on it. I didn't want to get to that point of no return to where I truly hurt her feelings because I wouldn't fall for her. I can actually remember the last time that we hooked up. I remember, I remember we were just coming back from a road, like I'm not gonna say a road trip. She was re-enrolling into school, so she was going to the campus to enroll for her classes, and she asked me to go with her, and I did. And then we had our conversations in the car, friendly conversations, because we cool. We've been knowing each other for years. We've been working together. When we got back to her place, we drove in her car. I had left my car at her place, so we went in her car. When we got back to her place, um, at this time she was, I wouldn't even say her place. At this time she was still at home with her parents. which is okay. Like I said, we were young adults. We were just becoming adults. So she was still at her parents' house. I had just got my own place not too long. It was very recent. I had just got my own place. So when we pulled up in her driveway, I was saying my goodbyes, I was saying my good nights, and I was ready to head on back to the crib. And I remember her stopping me from getting out the car, and she looked at me, and she said, "Can I ask you something?" And trust me, it's not what you guys think. It's not one of those serious moments. But I saw the look she was giving me. That's one of the signs when there's a shift change. Not only was she talking different, moving differently, she was looking at me different. So she stopped me from getting out of the car, and I looked at her. She was looking at me. It's like she was staring into my soul, but she was like, it was like a nervous look. It was like she was looking at me. She was smiling. She was kind of looking away a few times, and she was acting like she was nervous to ask me, which is weird because I'm like, what are you nervous for? We cool. Like, no need to be nervous. But and I'm not misquoting her. This is an exact quote. Excuse me, YouTube. I'm sorry, but I want to say exactly what she said. She looked at me and she said, "Can Lord have mercy." She looked at me and said, "Can we fuck?" That's an exact quote. Can we fuck? And I thought that was weird because I'm like, it's the way you asked me, all nervously and stuff like that. But it's like you asking me that like we haven't done it before. Like, what's wrong with you? It was just a weird energy when she asked, and like I said, I had got to the point where it was like I wasn't really into hooking up anymore. But it's hard to turn down some nice little meow. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to turn that down. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, yeah, sure, cool. We can go back to my crib. Um, but my head wasn't completely in it. I was half in, half out. So we went back to my crib. We got to my crib, and keep in mind when we were hooking up, we wasn't hooking up like romantically. There was no like we wasn't doing all that kissing and touching and like it wasn't intimate hookups. We were literally just hooking up like one night stand type shit. Let's just get into it. Like there's no foreplay. There's no like let's just do what we do because that's what we're here to do. But this particular moment in time, she wanted to kiss and she wanted to get touchy and look at me and hold me and stuff like that. And I'm like, whoa, like this don't seem like this don't seem like effort. It seemed like you want to make love type stuff, and that's not the type of time I was on. Um, but that's basically what she wanted. I think she wanted that to solidify her feelings for me. But that I could I'm not gonna lie to y'all, I couldn't even go through with it. When it got to that point where I realized that that's what she was trying to do, I at that moment in time it was time for me to man up, take accountability, and respectfully say, you know what? I'm sorry, I'm not feeling this. I don't think we should do this tonight. And of course, she said it's okay, it's fine. But I could tell she was disappointed. I could tell she was frustrated because when I went to go drop her back off at her house, her whole mood was different. It was a dry goodbye. She just got out the car and she left. And at that moment in time, when she left, when she got out the car and went back in the house, I knew that was it. I knew we were done doing what we were doing. I knew it because she had crossed that point of falling for me, and I had just basically rejected her. I had made her feel like I didn't want her, and as you, I haven't mentioned her name, so that's why I'm saying I have a certain amount of respect for her to protect her that I didn't even want to just I didn't want to do that with her that night and give her the wrong idea because I didn't want to end up with us going further into this and me really ended up hurting her when she wanted something serious for real, and I was just like, nah, it's not happening. So I took a lot out of me at a young age because I was still learning this game, y'all. I was still learning women. I was still learning dating, hooking up, relationship. I'm still learning all of this. So, but I knew it would have been the wrong thing to let it go any further if I gave in that night. So after that, we just kind of we kind of had a little rough patch where things was kind of weird. We didn't communicate the same anymore. And this is also why getting entangled with somebody that you're friends with can be dangerous, because if you are hooking up with somebody you cool with that is a friend of yours, and y'all just trying to have casual hookups to fulfill a need, if one of you catch feelings and the other one ain't feeling that way, it really can make things difficult going forward. Not saying you can't come back from it, because we did, but we needed some time apart. So we took some time apart, and then once a little time passed, we came back and we was cool again, like friends, but we stopped hooking up and we just remained friends. We remained what it was, and that was for the best, because congratulations to her. I believe she's married now. I believe she's moved out the country because her husband is foreign. He's from Africa. So I believe she's moved out the country with her husband, which I'm happy that I stopped that night, because me doing that allowed her to find her person. Because I don't think me and her would have lasted if we had kept going. Me putting a stop to that when I did allow her to go out there and find her person and go on and be married and be happy. She ain't even in this country anymore. Good for her. So I'm happy that that worked out for her. But we were having it. We were in an entanglement. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't know that's what that was at the time. But she wanted to start claiming the situation uh, for more than what I thought it was. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm sorry. I apologize. I was wrong. Um, and it's also a good lesson as far as be careful with who you decide to hook up with, and if you're gonna hook up with somebody um, that you could potentially fall for, have that conversation at the beginning of it if y'all start to get physical, if you can. Um, if you guys don't talk about it in the beginning and you kind of get in the middle and stuff starting to change, have that conversation. Stop before you go any further. Have that conversation. What are we? What are we doing? Do you see this going beyond sex? Do you see it going any further than just sex? Um, so I encourage you, if you're somebody that can do casual hookups, cool. But if you're somebody who enjoys love like I do, who is a lover boy like I am, who believes in love and is a hopeless romantic and all that, if you don't enjoy random hookups and you actually want to be hooking up with somebody that you can see being your person, have that conversation with that person before y'all start to get physical. Before we do this, do you potentially see us being anything outside of this? Because if the answer is no from that person, don't do it, because all you're gonna do is fulfill a physical need in that moment, but you're gonna fall even harder for them, especially if the sex is good, and then you're gonna become delusional in your head when they've already told you that they don't see anything going any further than what it is. You gotta have that conversation. If you know you could potentially fall for somebody, don't hook up with them if you're not for sure if it can be anything more than what it is. Seriously, it's gonna save you a lot of time and heartache. Um, so I encourage all of you to not. I encourage not all of you. I encourage the people who believe in love to not just have entanglement casual hookups. Um, because I don't see myself doing that anymore. I like not with anybody that I don't see myself with. If I'm hooking up with somebody, even if it don't turn into a relationship, trust me, I see myself with you, because I'm not just hooking up with anybody just to hook up. I'm somebody who could abstain from sex. Actually, I don't. I prefer intimacy over sex anyway. Don't get me wrong. I want the sex, but I want to know that I'm in tune with the person that I'm giving my body to, who's giving their body to me. Anybody that I've been with outside of that one, particular instant, anybody that I've been with, trust me, I've seen myself having a future with that person. Granted, didn't work out with any of them. That's why I'm single. But that's okay because I'm cool with having been engaged in that act with them because I would have married any one of them. Any one of them could have been my wife. And I wouldn't have hooked up with them if I didn't truly believe that. And that's where I'm at my point in life. I'm only hooking up with people, women. I'm only hooking up with women that I would actually want to see myself being a husband to, who I want to see being a wife to me. That's just where I'm at. And I learned that from this entanglement. I learned I don't just want to hook up with just random people. I don't trust people like that. I don't know what you bringing to the table. I'm clean. I know what I'm bringing to the table. I don't know what you doing. So that's where I'm at with it. I'm not gonna share all my information that I've had in my past in this episode, but I just wanted to bring this thing to light because this was a big topic of discussion a few years back, and I didn't realize I had one until recently, and that's why I'm sharing it with you now. What about you guys? Um, are you somebody who needs to be really into somebody to have sex with them, or can you just have casual hookups? Do you believe in entanglements? Are you in one now? What do you guys think? What are your stories? Please, share your stories with me. I love to hear you. I don't let me be the only one. Please share your stories with me. I want to hear them. Um, but yeah, that was an interesting time in my life. I grew up real quick after that. After that entanglement, I grew up real quick. Um, I know you guys probably want all the details as far as what we did. Um, I'm not gonna tell you everything that we did, but I will say this about that entanglement. Um, she was she was one of those people that um even though we had our little sexual jokes and advances back in the past, I I never really saw her as like a freak like that. Um, I saw her as more of like a good girl who was just kind of sneaky freaky, but not real freaky. Um, but she's a very open minded person when it comes to the things she was willing to do. I mean, we had some we had some encounters in some interesting places that I didn't think that she would be into doing, and um, she was a great um orologist. I'll give her that. She was a great orologist. Um, it wasn't the best sex that I've had. But it was it was it was good enough for the time period that we were doing it. It was good enough. Um, but yeah, that was crazy. See, I'm letting y'all in. Y'all probably didn't know. Y'all probably didn't know your boy was out here like that. Y'all probably didn't know I was on that type of time like that. But yeah, that was one of that was an entanglement for me. I wish her well. I hope her marriage is good. Hope her kid is good. I wish nothing but the best for her and her husband in their future. I really do. Um, and with that being said, I want to turn it over to the latest segment of Start Yo Shit, where you're allowed to ask me whatever it is that comes to your wild little minds. Tell me what you want me to answer. So, for today's Start Your Shit question, it's kind of a two-parter, and it's a really good one. This is how I know that y'all are actually watching my episodes. You asked me basically two questions, and I'm gonna answer it both. And I appreciate y'all for tuning in and watching and being part of this segment. I want to give you guys a chance to be included into this experience in this process with me. And okay, so the question for this episode of Start Your Shit is: you said in your video that you were gonna propose to someone. Were you in love? Were you in love with her? And how were you going to propose? A two-parter and a very damn good one. Now, This was an era of about 3 years ago. If I'm not mistaken. It was 3 years ago. So past it, past this era, so I could talk about it, but I'm going to, of course, protect the identity of the person and not name names. But I'm going to tell you, I'm going to answer your question because I can. I don't mind talking about it. Was I in love with her? Yes. 100%, no question about it. I had never had a feeling with anybody, especially during this time period, during this era, 3 years ago. I had never felt the way that I felt for her, for anybody else. And there was a particular moment between us that happened where when I knew that I was in love with her. When it happened, I was like, yeah, it's her. That's it. I don't need to see no more. I don't need. That's it. She's the one. And when that moment happened, I spent pretty much 90% of my time thinking about the future that we could have together. Like, you couldn't tell me nothing about this person. Whatever your opinion of her was your opinion. She was perfect to me. I don't care. She could do no wrong in my eyes. I was in a trance. She had my heart 100% wholeheartedly. No, it was nobody else in this world that I wanted more than this person. Nobody. She was the one. I was determined to make her my wife. I was determined to spend the rest of my life with her. No questions asked. I didn't need to think about it. There was no debate about it. There was, oh, maybe you should go out here and see other. No, there was no other option. She was the option. Just her. Only her. Um, how was I going to propose to her? This is the interesting part, and this is a universal thing. This is why I love being a spiritual person. So the proposal was, and she don't like to take credit for it, but it really was her idea, because I'm not the only one who saw the potential. I'm not the only one who felt like there could be something there with me and this person. My sister thought the same thing, so she brought it up. It was actually her idea for me to propose. I was just going to ask her to be my girlfriend. She saw how much I loved her and how good we could be and thought we were a perfect match. And she was like, bro, you just need to propose to her. And when she said that, I was actually surprised and shocked. It actually took me aback a little bit because I'm like, whoa, you had never said that to me ever in life about anybody that I was interested in. You want me to propose to her? Wow, you must see something. So, um, she she brought up the idea in December, like right before Christmas, to propose to her. How was I gonna do it? So I had this dream about this particular person, this individual, that we were somewhere on a beach and we were kind of laid out on a blanket, having like a picnic. Um, we had some, we had a lot of fruit. I love grapes, and we was eating on grapes. She was feeding me, I was feeding her, and it got to the point of the dream where, you know how how you're watching two people in a movie in a scene, and there's other people around in the background, but then the camera angle kind of hones in on the two of them, and it's like nobody else is around. So in my dream, we we were on a beach, a public beach, but it got to the point where it felt like it was just me and her, like there was nobody else in the world, not just on that beach. It felt like it was just me and her, nobody else in the world, and we were just looking at each other. We wasn't saying anything. We were just staring into each other's eyes deeply, emotionally. Like we were soul bonding. That's what it felt like. It was just me and her, and we didn't do anything. We didn't kiss or anything like that, but we smiled at each other, and it was like a smile of, I'm just happy to be here in this moment with you. I wouldn't want to be here with anybody else but you, and that's what it was. So I was like, that's interesting. Keep that in mind. My birthday trip that was coming up was LA. I had already did the Miami trip. The next stop on my birthday tour was LA. My birthday is in May. The idea came up in December. So my sister didn't know how I was going to propose. I didn't even tell her this. So she's finding this out for the first time as she's watching too. So because I had that dream, my thought was, if we go to LA for my birthday, and at this time when I started my tour, when we went to Miami, my birthday was on a Friday. So my birthday in LA the next year was going to be on a Saturday. I had to do it on a beach, and I didn't know we was going to go to the beach. Me and my sister ended up going to the beach on a Sunday. So I wouldn't have proposed. I wouldn't have been able to propose on my actual birthday. It would have been the day after. So May 22nd would have been my proposal day. But back to the story. So I was like, I should propose to her on the beach because that was my dream. It was me and her on the beach. What I could do is we could have the blanket set up just like in my dream, and I could have my sister like walk off and actually go draw the question in the sand. And she wouldn't have known what my sister was doing, but I would have. So my sister would have ended up calling us over for what? Keep in mind, I had to get the ring first. And I was going to get the ring in April. But I got a bad feeling that something might not go right. So I decided to hold off on getting the ring, and I was going to get it in May right before we left. So she was going to call us over. I was going to have her walk in front of me, and I was going to have her read the question first. Now, when she read the question, she wouldn't have suspected that it was going to come from me. She would have thought my sister was just being playful and just writing something in the sand, and she might have even said yes to my sister as a joke, because that's what she would have thought it was. But my sister would have corrected her and told her to turn around. And I would have been on my knee on the beach with the ring, ready to propose to her and ask that question. And that's how I would have did it. But like I said, unfortunately, we never got a chance to get to that point because things happened in her personal life to the point where she was not able to go on the trip. So which was a good thing I held off on getting the ring, because I would have ended up getting the ring just for her not to be able to go on the trip. That's why I pushed it, and I was like, I'm going to get it right before we leave, just in case something happens. So I never ended up getting the ring. But I was going to get the ring because at that point, I had worked on my credit. I had a little change on me. I could have got a nice ring. And yeah, that's how I was going to do it. I was going to bring her to the beach, like in my dream. And I was going to have my sister write it in the sand and have her turn around. I was going to be right there, and boom. Now, what she would have said, what would have been her answer, I don't know. Honestly, I'm not even 100% sure she would have said yes. But that's exactly how I would have asked the question. That was the proposal. Will you marry me on the beach in LA, Venice Beach? That's where it would have been if we had got to that point, but we never did. But that was a good question. Thank you for asking that. Brought me back down memory lane. I appreciate that. That will do it for this episode 19. I know you guys probably wanted more, a little more juice, but trust me, I got more things coming for you. I got more stories. I got more guests coming for you. Tune in to episode double X. We are going to make it to episode 20. We're in February. We're in the month of love. I'm going to bring back a couple people that you love on here. So tune in for the next episode. You're going to want to see it. I'm telling you, you're going to want to see it. Thank you guys for continuing to support me, for tuning in to the channel. If you haven't already done it yet, please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. I need you guys to continue to push me further into the algorithm so I can continue to bring you banger after banger after banger after banger. Thank you guys. That will do it for episode 19. Please tune in for episode double X. That will be episode 20. And this would be me, your tribal chief, signing out for this episode. Don't start your shit. Won't be no shit. I'm out. See you guys.